Good day, I'm JOELLIZ ACAYANG and I will be discussing the week 1. Greeks are the earliest thinker in the history of philosophy. So let's discuss the different notion of self from various philosophers across all the time and place. First Socrates and Plato. Socrates are the first philosopher who ever engaged in a systematic questioning about the self. For Socrates, every man is composed of body and soul. Plato was Socrates' student, and also Plato added that there are three components of soul, and that was the rational soul, spirited soul, and the appetitive soul. Now let's talk to these three components of the soul. When we say rational soul, basically you're giving a reason. And the spirited soul, which could affect on our mixed emotion that should keep. And the last one, the appetitive soul. These are the change that based on our desires for what we want to do. Now, let's move in Agustin and Tomas Aquinas. In Augustine view, the human person reflects the entire spirit of the medieval world when it comes to man. Augustine also agreed that the man is a bifurcated nature. The body is bound to die on earth, and the soul is to anticipate living eternally in a kingdom of spirited bliss in communion with God. Thomas Aquinas, the most eminent 13th century scholar and the stalwart of the medieval philosophy. Aquinas said that man is composed of two parts. It is the matter, or highly in Greek, that the man's body is made up of matter, and form, or morphe in Greek, refers to the essence of substance or a thing. René Descartes are the father of modern philosophy. He also believed the self has two distinct entities, such as the cogito, the thing that thinks, which is the mind, and the extensa or extension of the mind, which is the body. David Hume is a Scottish philosopher. To David Hume, the self is nothing else but a bundle of impressions. When we say impressions, these are the basic objects of our experience or sensation. Immanuel Kant. To Kant, there is necessarily a mind that organizes the impressions that men get from the external world, time and space. Kant called these the apparatuses of the mind. According to him, what truly matters is the behavior that a person manifests in his day-to-day life. Merleau-Ponty. Merleau-Ponty is a phenomenologist who asserts that the mind-body bifurcation that has been going for a long time is a futile endeavor and an invalid problem. He says that mind and body are so intertwined that they cannot be separated from one another.
Week 2.
What is self? Self is ever-changing and dynamic, allowing external influences to take part in its shaping. In the self and culture, according to Mauss, every self has two faces, persone and moi. Moi is a person's basic identity, a sense of who he is, his body, and his basic identity. When it comes to self in families, the kind of family that we are born in, the resources available to us. The gender and the self. Gender is one of those components of the self that is subject to alteration, chance, and development. The gendered is when shaped within a particular context of time and space. The sense of self that is being taught makes sure that an individual fits in a particular environment. Gender has to be personally discovered and asserted and not dictated by culture and the society.
Week 3.
Good day, everyone. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is MICAHLYN BELLEGUEZ. Our two psychologists. First, William James was one of the earliest psychologists to study the self and conceptualize the self as having two aspects, the I and the me. The I is the thinking, acting, and feeling self, and me is the physical characteristic as well as psychological capabilities that make who you are. Second, Carl Rogers' theory of personality also used the same terms I as the one who acts and decide, while me is what you think or feel about yourself as an object. There are three reasons why self and identity are social products. First, we do not create ourselves out of nothing. Second, we actually need others to affirm and reinforce who we think we are. And lastly, what we think is important to us may also have been influenced by what is important in our social or historical context. And also, there are two types of self that we can be aware of. First, private self or your eternal standards and private thoughts and feelings. Second, the public self or your public image, commonly geared toward having good presentation of yourself to others. And self-awareness also present three other self-schemas: the actual, ideal, and out self. The actual self is who we are at that moment. The ideal self is who you like to be, and out self is who you think you should be.
Week 4.
Is types of behavior. The various types of human sexual behavior are usually classified according to the gender and number of participants. Sexual behavior is divided into heterosexual behavior, male with female, and homosexual behavior with same. 1. Solitary behavior. Self-gratification means self-stimulation that leads to social, irrational, and generally social climax. Self-gratification is most frequent among the unmarried. There are more males who perform of self-control of females.
Week 5.
My name is Honey Grace B. Padernal. My topic today is all about the reproductive system. So, the hermaphrodites are individuals having accessories reproductive structures that do not match their gonad, while true hermaphrodites are individuals who possess both ovarian and testicular tissues, but this condition is rare in nature. Nowadays, many pseudo-hermaphrodites undergo change operation to have their outer self, external genitalia, fit with their inner self, gonads. So the hermaphroditism is a condition in which an individual has a matching chromosomal and gonadal tissue, ovary or testicle sex, but mismatching external genitalia. So, female pseudohermaphroditism refer to an individual with ovaries and external genitalia resembling those of a male, and male pseudohermaphroditism refer to individual with testicles and external genitalia resembling those of a female, and in some cases external sex organs associated with pseudohermaphroditism appear intermediate between a typical clitoris and penis. Those pseudohermaphroditism is sometimes not identified until puberty or a disease associated with the reproductive system. Infections are the most common problem associated with the reproductive system in adults. Vaginal infections are more common in young and elderly women, and in those who are resistant to disease is low. The usual infections include those caused by Ensteric coli, which spread through the digestive tract. The sexually transmitted microorganisms such as herpes gonorrhea and herpes virus and yeast type of fungus, vaginal infection that are sexual contact and with sexually transmitted disease. STD. Microorganisms as transmitted arthritis or inflammation of the testes is rather uncommon but injurious because it can cause sterility. Arthritis is more commonly follow mumps and an adult male. New blossom are a major threat to the reproductive organ. Menopause, which occurs when females no longer experience menstruation. Erogenous jewels. Erogenous jewels refer to parts of the body that are primarily receptive and increases sexual arousal when touched in a sexual manner. Human sexual behavior. Human sexual behavior is defined as any activity solitary between two persons or in group that induces sexual arousal.
Week 6.
Hello, my name is MARJELYN VIñAN and I am now to lecture the lesson of week 6. For the first topic is about sexually transmitted disease. Sexually transmitted infections, also known as sexually transmitted disease or venereal disease, are diseases that are passed on from one person to one another through sexual contact. The infection can be passed on through vaginal intercourse, oral sex, and anal sex. Sometimes, sexually transmitted infections are spread in ways other than sexual contact. For example, sexually transmitted infection can spread to infants during pregnancy or childbirth. Sexually transmitted infection also can spread through blood transfusions or shared needles. Sexually transmitted infections always cause symptoms. A person can get sexually transmitted infections from another person who seems healthy and may not even know they have an infection. Here are the symptoms of sexually transmitted disease. Sexually transmitted disease can have a range of symptoms, including no symptoms. That's why sexually transmitted infections may go unnoticed until a person has complication or a partner is diagnosed. Sexually transmitted infections, sore or bumps on the genital or in the oral or rectal area, painful or burning urination, discharge from the penis, unusual or odorous vaginal discharge, unusual vaginal bleeding, pain during sex, lower abdominal pain, fever. And here are the examples of sexually transmitted disease include chlamydia, HIV and AIDS, public lice crabs. What is chlamydia is a bacterial infection that is easily cured. Left untreated and can cause infertility in women. The symptoms of chlamydia is a woman have pain when urinating, itching around the vagina, bleeding between periods, or pain in the lower abdomen. Men may have a burning sensation when urinating in a mealy-colored discharge from the penis. It can also cause painful swelling of scrotum in men. In the treatment of these symptoms is antibiotics. Both partners should be treated. Next is HIV, human immunodeficiency virus. What is HIV? It's the virus that causes AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. HIV attacks the body's immune system, making you more likely to get sick from other viruses or bacteria. The symptoms of HIV makes the body immune system weak so it can fight disease. Symptoms may take years to develop. When symptoms do appear, they can include swollen lymph nodes, diarrhea, fever, cough, shortness of breath, or an unexplained weight loss. Symptoms are often similar to those of illnesses such as the flu. And the treatment of these symptoms is medicine can treat symptoms but can cure HIV or AIDS. If one partner is infected, the other should be checked by a doctor. The next one is public lice or crabs. What is public lice? Public lice, also called crabs, are tiny insects that live in public hair and lay eggs. They spread through direct contact but don't cause many problems. Medicine such as over-the-counter lotions or shampoos can kill the lice. Prescription shampoos, lotions, or pills are also available if over-the-counter medicines doesn't work. Cloths, sheets, and towels must be washed in hot water to kill remaining bugs or your lice can come back. Usually both partners need to be treated. Removal of damaged lice eggs is important to reduce the chance of another outbreak from treatment. I have things to consider to both men and women. It is common to feel guilty or ashamed when you are diagnosed with an sexually transmitted infections. You may feel that some you thought you could trust has hurt you. You may feel sad or upset. Talk to your doctor about how you're feeling. Remember, you can take steps to prevent getting and sexually transmitted infections. The only sure way to prevent them is by not having sex. But if you don't but if you do have sex, you have lower your risk if you do the following things. Limit your number or sex partners. Avoid sex with people who have only sex. Use condoms consistently and correctly. Ask your partner if he or she has had an sexually transmitted infection. Tell your partner if you have had one. Talk about whether you've both been tested for sexually transmitted infections and whether you should be tested. Look for signs of an sexually transmitted infections in your sex partner, but remember that sexually transmitted infections don't always cause symptoms like if you or your partner have been treated for an sexually transmitted infection. And lastly, wash your genital with soap and water and urinate soap after you have sex. This may help clean away some germs before they have a child.
Week 7.
Gonorrhea, also known as the clap or the dip. This sexually transmitted bacterial infection usually attack the mucous membranes. Gonorrhea is the second most common sexually transmitted disease after the chlamydia. Gonorrhea. What it is? Gonorrhea is the bacterial infection. Left untreated, it can cause serious health problems, but it is easily cured. Symptoms. Women may have white, green, yellow, or bloody discharge from the vagina. Pain when the urinating bleeding between periods. Heavy bleeding during the period or the fever. Both women and men can get sore throat if they had oral contacts with the infected person.
Week 8.
Hi everyone, my name is MARIGON and MARIGON. My topic for today is all about natural family planning. The natural family planning methods do not include any chemical or foreign body introduction into the human body. Most people who are very conscious of their religious belief are more inclined to use the natural way of birth control. Some want to use natural method because it is more cost effective. Abstinence. This natural method involves abstaining from sexual intercourse and is the most effective natural birth control method with ideally 0% fail rate. Next, it is also the most effective way to avoid STI. STI means is sexually transmitted infection and there's have one. STD. STD means is sexually transmitted disease. STD are also called STI or sexually transmitted infection. STI are infections spread from person to person during sex, vaginal, oral, or anal, or close sexual contact. The only way to completely avoid STI or STD is not to have sex or close sexual contact. Next, however, most people find it difficult to come see with abstinence, so only a few of them use this method.